is older than the exterior. How is that possible? You'll have to come out and find out. Before or after your tour, stop by the on-site market featuring a curated collection of handmade goods, artisan crafts, and locally inspired treasures. Perfect for picking up a keepsake to remember your haunting adventure. You'll also find exclusive spooky merchandise from Tales of the Crypt and Elvira. Then climb aboard the climate-controlled trolley as we travel through Minneapolis's haunted hotspots, uncovering ghost stories that locals would rather keep buried. The mansion is restored to perfection, and there is no better way to spend an evening. Visit MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for tickets and more information. Greg Bakun here. It's nice to get out of the Twin Cities and take some travel excursion to some great locations. Minnesota has so much to offer, which is why I love traveling down to Wabasha and staying at the historic Anderson House Hotel. Opened in 1856, this beautiful hotel offers comfortable accommodations, has a delicious restaurant, and even a speakeasy in the basement to unwind with a drink. Located next to the Mississippi River and on Main Street, there is a lot of sightseeing and shopping to do too. To get more information, go to the AndersonHouseHotel.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, clear with a low of 59, then Wednesday, sunshine with a high of 78. The Great Wall has been your home for Chinese favorites since 1981. Don't miss the sesame chicken, mushu pork with Chinese pancakes, or Peking duck. Stop in at the restaurant on France Avenue and 45th Street along the Minneapolis-Edina City line, or check them out at greatwallrestaurant.us.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host, guest, random reptoid, or chupacabra may not necessarily reflect those of AM 950 Radio, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Now, it's time to step into the unknown. There are things people experience but never talk about. A shadow moving in the corner, flickering of the lights, a disembodied voice. We invite you to talk with us. Share your story, share your experience, because this isn't just your story. This is our story. This is GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun.
And this is GhostBox Radio on AM 950, where every night we talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. My name is Greg Bakun. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. It's only July, but things are starting to heat up as we get into the fall. And I guess I sort of peak around Halloween time, where we get everything ready. We start figuring out different things going on and whatnot. And one of the things I'm really excited about as we're starting to ramp up for this time of year, and don't tell me that it's not too early when we're towards the end of July, because we know that's not true. But, you may remember that I do on occasion these 2-hour episodes of GhostBox Radio called GhostBox Radio After Dark. And the last time we did one was last year, and that's when we had Travis Walton on, who was famously taken by aliens, and the film Fire in the Sky was made from that. And we had this fantastic 2-hour conversation. In fact, we replayed it when I was on vacation a couple weeks back. Well, I just finished up getting who I want for the next one we're going to do in September, and I am really excited about it. This is something very different. The last two we did were about aliens. This one, not so much. And I think that there's a lot of people who are very curious about it. I can't say what it is yet, but I guarantee that it's going to pique your interest. And I think you're going to really enjoy what we're going to be talking about. And once we get, because I have to work with the station, of course, to figure out the timing and everything for it. But I have the guests on for it. They're all ready for it. We just got to figure out time and stuff, and it's going to be exciting. And I just wanted to let you all know, because number one, I'm super excited about it. But secondly, we're going to get that stuff figured out, going to get a date going, and we're going to have some wonderful radio bliss, and it might be about the demonic. That's just going to throw that out there right now. So something to think about, something to listen to down the road, and we will make sure you know when it's going to be on. So we have that. Now, I am really excited tonight because on July 4th, I was honored to be a guest on a radio station, on a radio show from WCPT in Chicago. AM 950 and WCPT. As you probably, if you've been listening to our station, you know that we are getting more and more integrated. It's a very exciting time. Love Chicago, love the programming in Chicago. I remember when we got Patty Vasquez up here on our show, on our station, that I was lucky enough to be a guest on her show once, and it's really exciting. And then I realized that there's this wonderful show on at 6 p.m. every Saturday called Think Theory Radio, and it's kind of like GhostBox, but it's not like GhostBox, which is what makes it really good. You know, it's like there's so many different kind of paranormal and as the name of the program says, Think Theory, it's talking about a lot of different things, and there's so much room for programs like ours on the air, and I'm so happy to see that Chicago has a wonderful program like that, and it's well worth a listen. And I really wanted to bring on the host of the show, and I'm very excited to do so. So my guest tonight is the host of Think Theory Radio, Damien Perdue. Damien, welcome to GhostBox Radio.
Man, thank you so much, Greg. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you. And I've always been a massive fan of Chicago. And just prior to the show, we were talking about how great Pequod's is. If you've never been to Pequod's Pizza, next time you get down to Chicago, make sure that you set aside time to do and go and check it out. And it's well worth your time. If you like pizza, legendary. Oh my God. So,
and it's probably the most unique out of Chicago deep dish because it's the caramelized crust.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So
I got to get down there. Maybe I'll just drive down tomorrow. We'll see.
Come down. You will bring it back on the show. Do like a pizza party or something.
Right, exactly. We'll just do another show together tomorrow at Pequod's. So first of all, Damien, we got a lot to talk about tonight, and we're going to kind of break it up throughout in different subjects throughout the show because you're a very creative person. And I want to start, though, with the radio show itself. Think Theory Radio, once again, on WCPT, 820 AM Chicago, but you can stream it. When the show is done, it's available for you to enjoy and consume. Damien, let's start with the very basics here. How long has Think Theory been on the air?
So the show itself, as Think Theory Radio, has been on 7.5 years, but I actually have been on the same time slot for 8 years. It started off, it's kind of a strange story in a way, because it was originally a show called The Empower Hour that I did with a coworker that was more like social justice, music, art, and he had a lot of other obligations, so there were several times where he kind of just couldn't make it into the show, and so what we were going to do was up in the air. So I've always been a strange thinker. I love fringe ideas. I love talking about things that are outside the box and mainstream. And when I had the first opportunity to kind of do it on my own, I thought, okay, I want to do a show about the infinite intelligence of the universe. And is the universe itself conscious? And is there something more, in terms of the, kind of paranormal, but also combining spirituality with quantum physics. And at the time, there was nothing like that on our station. So I wasn't sure how the people that regularly listen to the station were going to react. And it was like instantly people were like, oh my God, people are calling in. I had tons of callers. I've never heard anything like this on your station. This is great. So, as time went on, I kept doing these. Every time he didn't show up, I would do these kind of unique shows. And eventually he quit. And by January 2019, I turned it into Think Theory Radio.
Well, first of all, congratulations on that longevity, because that's really cool. And it's, as your friend demonstrated, when you're doing radio shows, whether it's once a week, 5 times a week, whatever, you need to kind of show up, right? You have to, it's there. And for those who don't know, it's not like, there's planning, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. So, it's a lot of work, but it's also immensely rewarding to do as well. And so the one thing I kind of thought of when you're talking about all this, and you're talking about those fringe ideas, Did you run into people that you've known for a while who you wouldn't think would be thinking in the same terms that you are, and they kind of blew you away just by like, yeah, I listen, I agree with what you're saying, or that, yeah, no, you're right on track. You know, you wouldn't expect them to say that, but there they are. They're saying exactly that.
Oh yeah, not only people that I didn't know were interested in those kind of topics, within the realm, so we'll talk about the next segment, but like in my involvement in the hip hop scene,
Yep.
but also some of the listeners. We started getting all of these like listeners out of the woodworks that, my producer Paul, aka Paulie C, shout out, he produces a lot of other shows on the stations, and he would tell me all the time, like, I've never heard that person call before, and who is this person? You get all these callers that, they'll call in and say this is appointment radio,
Yeah.
and I think I just tapped into that kind of unique wavelength.
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool that you are doing that and taking it to like a such unique direction. Is there a specialty within that realm of what you're doing with the show that you find yourself going back to over and over again because you just find it such a fascinating topic?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because there's actually it's kind of almost like a running joke in a way, but serious, where it's kind of we call it the meaning of life episode, but we assign it random numbers. So it'll go, oh, this is the meaning of life episode number, 3,200, and then the next one is this is number 25, and it always has something to do with what is the nature of reality, what is consciousness, why are we here, what are these different reasons for it, and it could be everything from what is quantum entanglement, how does it reflect within, is our DNA conscious, are we communicating with entities that we don't visibly see, different kind of things like that, are we communicating with higher intelligences from other planets, and so any of those episodes always kind of go into that meaning of life genre.
I think that's really interesting too, because, I think of also the same thing as like when you're talking about like, say, mediumship and stuff like that. And one of the things that they always talk about is the downloading of messages, right? And, you kind of, in my mind, I kind of put that into that, like when when you're posing the question, are we communicating with higher life forms? Where are those messages for the mediums? Where are those downloads coming from? People might say, oh, it's source or whatever else, which it may well be. It's not, I don't know if it's really my place to say one way or the other, but I think about it. And, my biggest thing lately has been constantly about like aliens. And as someone who has been, investigating, looking for spirits and ghosts and all that, my big thing lately had been how much of what I've been doing the last, 15 years or so, have I actually been talking, kind of to your point, about the higher consciousness, the higher life forms, and that I've always been, what I've been seeing and thinking are spirits or whatever else, that in fact they might be like aliens, or they might be some other life form, or maybe even some kind of timeline where I'm bleeding into something from humanity's future, talking with it. It's like, once again, that's the exciting thing about it, because we don't know.
Yeah. It's funny too, because I'm reading a book right now called I don't know if you're familiar with Robert Anton Wilson.
Yep.
He's he wrote the Illuminatus trilogy and everything. So he's a book called The Cosmic Trigger 1, The Final Secrets of the Illuminati. And the chapters that I'm reading currently right now are all about communicating with higher intelligences from other planets through meditation, psychedelics. He has all these interactions with Timothy Leary in the book.
Oh, nice.
Who at the time was like in prison, and he was like kind of doing astral projection and talking to these other, they believe, entities. And so I mean, there's so much that we don't know, and I've had numerous scientists on the show, from neuroscientists, astrophysicists, cosmologists. And, one of the things I always say is like, look, we don't know everything. We'll never know everything. And that's kind of the nature of the universe. So for anyone to say, well, we know for sure that these are not entities from somewhere else or some higher dimension, it's unproven.
It's very sad to hear when people are like, it's impossible for this and this to happen.
Hmm.
And it's like, is it? I mean, for so long we thought that the sun rotated around us. That's
Hmm.
the part of how of living and evolving, is that we learn new things. And you just said yourself, through reaching out to higher life forms through uh, meditation. That's one of the things. And I got to come out to Chicago, and we got to do a CE5 experiment out there, so that you can hopefully have be able to experience some of the stuff I've experienced, where we believe that
Yeah.
those are alien entities that we are communicating with directly, a one-on-one sort of situation. And I always say, careful for what you wish for, because you will get it. That's
Yeah,
the
right.
thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's
And
the
it's one
thing.
of those things too that it's like, you know, are the people that don't get it, or they don't get those messages, is it because they're not willing to receive it?
Right. Like, you mean like going through the motions, but they're still, they're kind of blocking themselves.
Blocking
Yeah.
themselves, or they don't believe it at all. If you don't believe in levitation, maybe you will never see somebody levitate,
Yeah.
you
Absolutely.
know?
And I think I see that a lot too. And I don't know how much you deal with like psychic mediums and stuff, but also there's a lot of paranormal investigators out there who are like, I don't I'm as psychic as a brick. And it's like, but what you just said will make it so that you are as psychic as a brick, because you have
Hmm.
just put a barrier in front of yourself to do any, to get that gift. And if you don't want those gifts, that's fine. You don't have to have them. But
Hmm.
saying that, you're just negating everything. Once you throw it out in the universe, it's out there.
Yeah, and I think that there's a lot, this last century of humanity is very interesting in that, and I talked about when you were on my show about I was look kind of for I love paranormal, I love fringe stuff, and but also have like a scientific mind, so I'm
Yep.
looking for what's the explanation, because I don't think that science necessarily takes away from the mysticism. It creates even more infinite questions that you can ask, and if you look at through the lens of quantum mechanics, the acceptance of things like yoga and meditation, acupuncture, just 50, 60 years ago, even less than that, those were poo-pooed. Those were looked at, oh, that's nothing. Even though people had been practicing those for thousands of years to all kinds of benefits for health and mental wellness. And now neuroscience is studying this and coming to the realization that, oh, wait a minute, there's something to this. Same thing in quantum physics. A great book of the Tao of Physics by Frederick Capra. It correlates all of the ancient wisdom, from Taoism to Buddhism, Hinduism, the ancient Vedic texts, to modern quantum physics and science. And it's really interesting.
Well, it is really interesting, and I do agree. I think that you're right, that that you can include science into all this. I think that part of it is that uh, we haven't caught up to what the science is yet in some of these
Hmm.
situations. But it doesn't mean that we won't or we can't. And I don't think I can't imagine there's anybody in this field who are like, I don't want science to be a part of this, because it's like, I think we want nothing more than that validation for the
Hmm.
work that we do, to be like, yeah, this is why this works. And I think that's what stops, like you said, what stops a lot of people from going any further with it, because I think they feel embarrassed that they can't put a scientific reason behind it, because that's how they work. And then there's folks like you who, like, I do want to see it. I understand that we
Hmm.
don't see it yet, but it doesn't mean that I can't be interested in it. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm a big fan of Nikola Tesla, and
yeah.
I've actually been to the museum in Belgrade, Serbia, and he had the belief that a lot of his technologies, what he was trying to do just wasn't he wasn't able to do it because the technology wasn't there yet. And he also believed in, a kind of spiritual cosmic power, and frequencies. And talking about, like, synchronicities is one of my hugest, I guess, if you want to consider it paranormal. I don't know, but I'm a big proponent of synchronicities.
Absolutely.
And I was in Serbia for a graffiti festival. It just so happened I picked a day to go to the Tesla Museum, random, I swear to you. And we're heading there. My buddies dropped me off, and his girlfriend said, "What are you doing today?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to the Tesla Museum." I said, "Oh, it's his birthday today, right?"
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, just floored, like, wait, no way. And so I actually they had the original Tesla coil there. I got to do the experiment with where they turn it on and you hold light bulbs in your hand and it like lights up, from 10 feet away. And, these are still things that scientists don't even exactly know how that works, even though he was able to connect into some kind of electrical frequency within the air.
Have you had anyone on talking about Tesla?
Only myself.
But
why do you
remind me after the show? I have an outstanding guest for you. And he's been studying Tesla since the 70s.
Okay.
And you're gonna absolutely love it. And I think that you two will have absolutely one of the best conversations ever. So yes, remind me, and I'll look. Of course, I can't remember it off the top of my head right now, but that's how that works. Damien, why don't we go ahead and do this? I want to take our first break. When we come back, let's talk a little bit about the creative side of Damien Perdue. He talked a little bit about the graffiti and a little bit about the hip hop. Let's get more into it. Let's talk about just creativity. Okay, don't go anywhere. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. Moonstone Minneapolis is a queer-owned community-focused gift shop in South Minneapolis centered on curiosity, connection, and self-discovery. Explore astrology, tarot, crystals, herbs, mindfulness, and spiritual practices in a welcoming environment for all backgrounds and experience levels. Located at 3304 East Lake Street in Minneapolis, Moonstone Minneapolis also hosts makers markets, classes, and community events. Learn more at moonstonempls.com and discover a welcoming place to explore with curiosity and respect. Greg Bakun here. It's nice to get out of the Twin Cities and take some travel excursion to some great locations. Minnesota has so much to offer, which is why I love traveling down to Wabasha and staying at the historic Anderson House Hotel. Opened in 1856, this beautiful hotel offers comfortable accommodations, has a delicious restaurant, and even a speakeasy in the basement to unwind with a drink. Located next to the Mississippi River and on Main Street, there is a lot of sightseeing and shopping to do too. To get more information, go to theandersonhousehotel.com. Greg Bakun here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville. Greg Bakun here. I've been talking for a while about how spooky, fun, and fascinating the Minneapolis trolley tours are, but now there's big news. The Candlelight Ghost Tours now begin at the historic Pillsbury Club, a beautifully restored haunted mansion once owned by Charles Pillsbury himself. Believe it or not, the interior is nearly 200 years older than the exterior. How is that possible? You'll have to come out and find out. Before or after your tour, stop by the on-site market featuring a curated collection of handmade goods, artisan crafts, and locally inspired treasures. Perfect for picking up a keepsake to remember your haunting adventure. You'll also find exclusive spooky merchandise from Tales of the Crypt and Elvira. Then, climb aboard the climate-controlled trolley as we travel through Minneapolis' haunted hotspots, uncovering ghost stories that locals would rather keep buried. The mansion is restored to perfection, and there is no better way to spend an evening. Visit MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for tickets and more information. Looking for something different for family fun, a night out with friends, or your next team-building event? Try the escape rooms at Lilliput. Step into the haunted mansion, race to find a cure in the bunker, or survive Night of the Wolf, all with just 60 minutes to escape. It's private, immersive, and perfect for groups of all kinds. Book your adventure now, spots fill fast. Visit lilliput.net and see if your team has what it takes to escape. Now, we've been talking about them for a little while, and I just want to make sure that you've had a chance to go out to Moonstone, Minneapolis. We talked about all the stones and all the crystals and everything they have there, but something else that we want to make sure that people understand about this place is that they do a lot of classes. They have presentations. They have a lot of stuff going on, so that if you're going in there to do something like getting pendulums or getting different types of crystals, that you know what to do with them, because I do know through my experience through all these years that people pick up this stuff, but they may not understand the true potential of what they have or how to use a pendulum properly, which I do use pendulums all the time, and I am really good with them. But same with like dowsing rods and other things. And I want to let you know, and this has been going on for a while, but Moonstone, Minneapolis has this thing. It's called the Intro Topic Series. And that started on July 9th. Every week they're doing a different topic. This week, and on July 23rd, which is actually on Thursday, they're doing divination using pendulums. And I know a lot about this, and you are going to be astounded by what you're going to learn there. But if that doesn't quite do it for you, come back July 30th, session number 4, energy work for protection. I was just talking about this with Father Bob Bailey last night when we were talking about darkness and exorcisms, and you don't need it for that, trust me, but what you do need it for is protection, even just doing paranormal investigations, or even for your day at work. You know, you never know the different ways that you can use it. And these are great classes, and you can register. Go over to Moonstone, Minneapolis. That's moonstoneMPLS.com. There you can sign up for the classes and also reach out to them as well. And please go out there and check out their store. It's beautiful, and they are working really hard to make a great location for people, not only for getting good materials, getting good goods, but also being very inclusive. I also want to, before we get back to our guests, remind everyone that this Friday, I am back out at the Pillsbury Club along with Char Savoy. It is one of our investigations of this magnificent mansion at part of the Minneapolis Trolley Tours. Once again, we take over the top 2 floors of this mansion. Every single investigation is a little bit different. We go to different rooms. It has been, the activity has been off the hook, and I'm hoping to get Shar on in August so we could talk about some of the stuff that we've experienced there, because last time we did this, not last Friday, but the Friday before, literally every piece of equipment went off at once. And it was incredible up in the ballroom. And we want to talk about that, but maybe you could come out and experience it with us. Go to MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com. Make sure if there's still tickets available. We may be out of tickets. We're getting close to that. But just know that we're doing this every other week. And there you can sign up for whatever week works for you. It's a lot of fun. And remember, they do have their restaurant open now, and they do have a bar. So a couple things to keep in mind. And also make sure you get on one of their Minneapolis trolley tours. It's a lot of fun. So that being said, I am very happy once again that we are talking tonight with Think Theory Radio host Damien Perdue. Think Theory Radio runs Saturdays at 6 p.m. on WCPT. And don't just go there for Think Theory Radio. Check out their whole programming. A number of the shows are on AM 950 as well. Over the last 6 to 8 months, I got to know a number of people over at WCPT, and I am excited. They are such good people over there. It's such a well-run station. Damien, where else can people find about the show, about you, whatever else?
Yeah, we have a YouTube channel, Think Theory Radio, and it's streaming on all the streaming platforms: Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, and iHeartRadio. We have, you can go to heartlandsignal.com, which is the station's website. We have links there, and you can link to all the other shows. Like I said, there's some great programming, especially if you're a progressive-minded person, you're going to definitely find something you like.
Absolutely. Now,
and one more, my art.
Yeah.
For my artwork, go to Instagram. It's at DMNology, which is demonology, which in the beginning of the show, you were talking about your 2 hour special coming up, and you said might be a bit demonic. And I thought, oh, that's perfect because my graffiti name is actually Demon, and my hip hop name is Demonology.
Well, and you also have the name Damien. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of mileage with that as well.
Hmm. Yeah, and exactly. I mean, it's kind of where it comes from. When I was a kid, it was my name Damien kind of got loosely turned into Demon, and I just kind of ran with it. But
Now,
it's also like a play on words, you know.
absolutely. Now we're gonna move away from paranormal stuff for a second because we are going to talk about you talk about your artwork. Let's start with that. And so, what kind of art are you doing?
So I'm a graffiti artist by nature. I mean, that's my core, that's my default. A muralist. I also do all kind of illustrative work. I started out back in the early 90s in the hip hop scene in Chicago. I got involved actually through, I mean, I started like tagging and stuff when I was really young, but then I got into music. I became a DJ. From being a DJ, I got into rap. I started doing recording music, hitting the open mics, doing shows. Through that, I met some fellow graffiti artists who were a little bit more established in the scene and with their skill level. Zor, Raven, my crew SB, and these guys really kind of showed me the ropes on how to use a spray can the proper way, what we call it can control, and which kind of tips to use, what colors, you know, all these different aspects of what graffiti art is. And as time went on, I released several albums with my rap crew at the time, which was called the Nomads. And then I put out like three different solo albums back in the mid 2000s. And it's actually kind of one of those synchronicity things where it's my hip hop led me into radio.
Hmm.
And then, you know, radio kind of led me into my, I guess, search for knowledge and wisdom, which I was always on, but it kind of all like circled back on each other in a way. Like I never honestly didn't plan to do a show like Think Theory. I wanted to do a hip hop show, a rap radio show. But when I got the chance to do one, it became Think Theory. But I'm still a graffiti artist. I still do a lot of murals. I've done tons around the city. I've done projects with Chicago Public Schools. I've done with the Chicago Park District, with the City of Chicago Department of Cultural Affairs, and I've done several overseas with U.S. embassies in France and South France, Malta, which is a little island in the Mediterranean, which I have some kind of good paranormalish stories for the next segment on that one, and in Germany as well.
When you're doing murals, you're mapping all that out in your mind, right? I mean, because it's not like you're showing up, or maybe you are. I don't know. I don't know anything about this. You showing up with like how you want to have this look. I mean, because I can imagine that you might just be like, this is a space. I have a rough idea how I want to fill it, or is it more controlled than that?
It depends. I mean, when I do my graffiti art, which is what we call wild style, which is an abstract form of lettering, kind of interlocking, creating your own style, kind of
Yep.
making it very esoteric and, you know, your own stamp. And that I typically like to do just off the cuff, off of the mind. And, you know, depending, a lot of times, honestly, it's like the wall talks to me
Sure.
and depending on the space I'm working at. Now, if it's something like a gig or I'm working with kids and we're doing something specific, then I might have a sketch prepared for that.
Do you feel like the way that you're in touch with like meditation and stuff like that, does that play a role in having the wall talk to you?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I definitely like going back even to the guys that I met early on and my crew, SB Spray Brigade. These guys also had a very spiritual nature to themselves, and we all kind of had a belief that hip hop, to its core, is actually an ancient ritual. And if you took every aspect of hip hop, it correlates to what the ancient people were doing. You had the African griots, who were the storytellers, those are the rappers. You had the dancers around the fire, these are the break dancers. You had the drummers, these are the DJs, and so on and so forth. And the spray can, the graffiti artists were the ones painting the hieroglyphics. These
Sure.
were all the elements of the ancient people speaking through. The way I talk about it is, it's kind of like, when you have a tree growing through the concrete. It's like technology can't stop nature. And it was kind of that way with these ancient art forms, that growing up in an urban environment where, there's a lot of oppression, a lot of poverty, and we still were able to be creative through technology, through the spray can, through a microphone, through turntables, and through a boombox or radio speakers.
It's almost as if, especially when there is a reemergence of it, I think of it as like in the 80s and whatnot, and people are decrying it. They because they think it's new, they think it's destructive, they think it's whatever. The fact is, they have no idea, right? They don't know.
Yeah, and then you fast forward to now, and last Summer Olympics, breakdancing was in the Olympics.
Yeah, that Australian breakdancer was amazing.
She's an agent saboteur, man.
She's trying to take it down from inside the Olympics. So when people look at your artwork, especially like graffiti, and the same with anyone who's a graffiti artist, can you kind of tell, like, this is one of yours or this is a friend of yours? I mean, are there things that you just like, yeah, this is clearly the style of so and so?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, that's kind of what I was getting at with the wild style.
Sure.
Is you do kind of develop your own. Now, don't get me wrong, there is, similarities between certain artists, especially if they came up together. But one of the most important things in graffiti art, especially from my era, was always originality. And you wanted to be known without being known. You wanted people to see your style and say, "Oh, that's Demon right there," or that's whoever else. And yeah, that's a big important part of it. And just real quick, I wanted to show you this because you asked me if there was anything kind of to do with my spirituality, meditation. This is a piece I did a while back, but it's the the Cadaceus or the DNA spiral, but using Chicago imagery. So it has the Picasso with the all-seeing eye. It has the L trains wrapped around the John Hancock, which, if you're familiar with the John Hancock, I think they changed the name now, but I don't pay attention to that. But it's a black pyramid. It's a trapezoid pyramid, and there's a lot of belief in esoteric Chicago circles that these monuments and these skyscrapers here were built on ancient Native American mounds and ancient spiritual places.
And by the way, that's a beautiful piece of art.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
I think that's absolutely stunning. And what I like about it is that you're taking these, what we know about Chicago and how you just explained it, and why you're not putting those in just because it's Chicago, that you explain it away as to how it's akin to how it was done in the past. And I really like that. So you're paying tribute to it, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's the DNA of Chicago. That's what I call it.
love that. I love that. And I think what's great about that too, and I'm not saying that's the case, that's not the case for the Twin Cities here. And over in January, we proved that's not the case. But the thing about Chicago is always like there's in other especially like working class cities like Philadelphia and like the love and the support of your city is very deep rooted and very strong, which is what I think why that piece just like really resonates to me.
Well, thanks. Yeah. I try.
Yeah, okay, I'm doing the best I can over here. So let's real fast. I'm going to be very honest. I don't know a whole lot about hip hop, okay, and I'm not going to pretend I do. But you did just say that hip hop, is rooted in urban, but also rooted in oppression. Thing, is that where it always comes from for you in the sense, or is there where does it come from for you?
I think originally, yes. I mean, I grew up off Chicago Avenue, back in, in the 80s and 90s, it was a pretty rough neighborhood. It's a neighborhood called Westtown, which is close to Humboldt Park, Wicker Park, which is all pretty gentrified now. But back then it was a lot of gangs, a lot of just strife, and hip hop was, for me and my friends at the time when I was really young, was an escape.
Yeah.
We didn't want to be, gangbangers or whatever. We didn't want to do any of that, but we would break dance on the street corners. We got into graffiti art. And for everybody that I met in the hip hop scene, it pretty much kind of was a similar story where it kind of saved us in a way. It took us out of that kind of realm, and put us somewhere where we were able to be creative.
I mean, it sounds like that in the situation you're in with the people that are around you, kids had a choice to lash out about what they're upset about by joining gangs and maybe going to violence, or doing something and taking that angst and do something creative with it.
Exactly. Yeah. And then especially, in the 90s era, where a lot of hip hop was about being more conscious minded, we were able
Yeah.
to even like reflect what we saw growing up, but also kind of talk about something more positive and talk about something more uplifting and more spiritual and more unique, and that's a lot of what I talk about on my show now. And Think Theory kind of stems from a lot of what I used to rap about. A lot of my songs were kind of mystical and esoteric. I still have a bunch of songs and videos up on YouTube under DMNology. And I think one video your listeners probably would like is called Son of A. It's got to play on like son of a, but it's Son of A, meaning Atlantis.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it's all about the story of Atlantis and how, the technology and ancient civilization was, far greater and older and more superior than we know. And then I used I don't know if you remember the Disney movie Atlantis.
Yeah.
I chopped that up and I didn't even write it to them, but it just fit perfectly, all these different scenes. And so, yeah,
that's great. Can you share with everyone your site for people to see your art again, please?
Yeah, it's mostly up on Instagram is where I use. So it's at DMNology, OLOGY. So it's like demonology or Damienology, but it's DMNology.
Perfect. And I'm going to include that when I share out some social clips as well, because I think people need to take a look at this. I want to take a break here. When we come back, we'll talk some of Damien's paranormal. You mentioned Malta. We're going to talk about it. Let's see what all that's about. Folks, don't go away. We're having a great conversation. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. Greg Bakun here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com. Greg Bakun here. I've been talking for a while about how spooky, fun, and fascinating the Minneapolis trolley tours are, but now there's big news. The Candlelight Ghost Tours now begin at the historic Pillsbury Club, a beautifully restored haunted mansion once owned by Charles Pillsbury himself. Believe it or not, the interior is nearly 200 years older than the exterior. How is that possible? You'll have to come out and find out. Before or after your tour, stop by the on-site market featuring a curated collection of handmade goods, artisan crafts, and locally inspired treasures. Perfect for picking up a keepsake to remember your haunting adventure. You'll also find exclusive spooky merchandise from Tales of the Crypt and Elvira. Then, climb aboard the climate-controlled trolley as we travel through Minneapolis' haunted hotspots, uncovering ghost stories that locals would rather keep buried. The mansion is restored to perfection, and there is no better way to spend an evening. Visit MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for tickets and more information. Moonstone Minneapolis is a queer-owned, community-focused gift shop in South Minneapolis centered on curiosity, connection, and self-discovery. Explore astrology, tarot, crystals, herbs, mindfulness, and spiritual practices in a welcoming environment for all backgrounds and experience levels. Located at 3304 East Lake Street in Minneapolis, Moonstone Minneapolis also hosts makers markets, classes, and community events. Learn more at moonstoneMPLS.com and discover a welcoming place to explore with curiosity and respect. It's that time of year where the weather is getting nice and it's time to get out of the house for some family fun. Lily Putt is open for the season, and you know what that means. Lily Putt is known for its mini golf, go-karts, glow golf, jump pads, kiddie carts, gem mining, and even a new arcade. Lily Putt also has interactive and engaging escape rooms like the Haunted Mansion, the Bunker, or Night of the Wolf. Lily Putt is perfect for parties and group events. Stop by lilyputt.net for more information and hours of operation. Greg Bakun here. It's nice to get out of the Twin Cities and take some travel excursions to some great locations. Minnesota has so much to offer, which is why I love traveling down to Wabasha and staying at the historic Anderson House Hotel. Opened in 1856, this beautiful hotel offers comfortable accommodations, has a delicious restaurant, and even a speakeasy in the basement to unwind with a drink. Located next to the Mississippi River and on Main Street, there is a lot of sightseeing and shopping to do too. To get more information, go to theandersonhousehotel.com. And join me tomorrow on GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun. We are going to have psychic medium Jennifer Lee join us tomorrow. And this is the episode that we've been talking about for a while. If you listen to our show on occasion, when I have Adam in producing my show for me, we talk, and he's always at the station doing the show where I do my bit from home. We talk about how haunted that building is and the stuff that we've seen, experienced. Even during our show, we've had stuff happen, including EVPs and other things. Tomorrow, Jennifer is going to tell us what is in our building. She's going to scan it, psychically go through the building, let us know what she is picking up in there. And it's going to be a lot of fun, but it's also going to maybe even be revealing. We're going to find that out tomorrow. Jennifer Lee is extraordinarily gifted, and really looking forward to that. And I'm actually going to be in the studio tomorrow at the station doing the show, because I don't want to miss out. I don't want to be at home when they're talking about all the cool stuff. So join us tomorrow for that. It's going to be great. My guest tonight is host Damien Perdue. We're talking about his show, Think Theory Radio, that airs Saturdays at 6 p.m. on WCPT in Chicago, but you can get it all the usual places that you get your audio. You can also go to your YouTube, look up Think Theory Radio. You'll be able to see all the episodes. Well worth your time. Damien, who are you going to have on Saturday? Do you have that?
I think Saturday I'm going to do, so I try to do like a different topic every week. And if I don't have a guest, I come up with something kind of unique or something. I'm debating on doing one of those meaning of life episodes that I talked about, because I've been, there's a lot of new studies on consciousness that I'm curious, that I want to talk about. So I'm kind of debating either that or doing one about the most insane things discovered in space. So I'm still
That's great.
Going in between. Okay. Fly by the seat of my pants.
Either way, folks, you need to go check out, because they both sound absolutely amazing. So check them out, and please continue listening afterwards. These are shows like Damien's and mine. We exist because people listen and they take part. So please do so. Please give Damien as much support as possible. We have about 7 minutes left. Can you tell me about Malta?
Yeah. So, and like, I want to jam pack so much stuff in, because there's, I talked about like these synchronicities, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of what has led me to investigate and research quantum physics and quantum mechanics and kind of the underlying nature of reality has been connected to these ancient ruins that I've been to. It was one of my another thing I talk about a lot on the show is archaeology, and I have visited many sites in Mexico, in Malta, in Ireland, France, and several other places. And it originally started, so real quick, in Ireland, I went to some ancient ruins there, Newgrange, which is older than Stonehenge, the Hill of Tara, and actually bought this little pendant here, which has a little spiral on it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And this is an ancient Celtic symbol. And when I went to Malta several years after that, I went to uh, the name escapes me. I went to several. One is the Hypogeum, which is one of the most amazing ruins that anyone could go to. It's an underground ancient temple, and they estimate to be probably about 5,000 years old.
Wow.
And it is one of the most intricately designed places, and it's underground. They can't figure out, one, how they got light down there, two, how they got air down there without the use of modern technology. And the way it was designed is they call it kind of an inverse temple, because they carved into the rock, this is several meters below the ground, to make it look like if it was outside. So it's kind of like if you saw, the front, of a cathedral or other kind of temple with the archway and the different, hieroglyphs and the petroglyphs and everything scribed into it. This is how it was underground. Now, one of the rooms in there is the sound chamber that they believe priests would do kind of sound healing in, and it perfectly resonates to 111 hertz.
Okay.
And I'm sure you've had, your quantum healers on the show and everything. They will tell you that this is a very, mystical frequency, healing frequency. Some call it the angel frequency, and somehow this place that was, built or cut, 5,000 years ago has this perfect resonance within this chamber. Now, I was visiting another ancient ruin there, and I kept seeing all these spiral symbols. Like, what is with the spiral symbols, And I started to dig deeper into what spirals mean and how they're found all around the world, and how they have this deeper meaning within, like, the Fibonacci spiral, the golden mean spiral, within the double helix of the DNA, within a lot of different, aspects of quantum mechanics. This is kind of an underlying symbol of the fundamental nature of reality, is the spiral. And and there's one of the things that's okay. Now I'm seeing the connection between what the ancients knew and modern science, and kind of led me to that. And one of the weirdest things that happened to me, I was in one of these ancient ruins, and I try to do meditations when I'm in all of these places. And there was kind of a spot that was roped off, and the graffiti artist in me wants to jump the rope and go to the illegal side, So I did that. Now it was around. I go inside the temple, or inside the ruins, and I start to meditate. All of a sudden, my phone starts blowing up, and I'm looking, but the number is just all eights. 888888888888888. I know the 8 is the infinity symbol.
Yep.
So I'm like, whoa, this is, just mind blowing to me. Like, who is calling me on this number from 888? I try to answer it. No one, there was nothing there. So I don't know what I was tapping into right there.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
What can I say? One quick story, because I know you run out of time, but I really want to tell you this one.
we have just over 2 minutes left, so go for it.
Okay, because I know you love alien stuff. So way back in the day, I was in Mexico, and I was in a cave called Lotun, which is an ancient cave that the Mayans and the old Mex used to live in and visit and worship, and even like throw parties in there. That's what the tour guide said. So I had been in the tour once. I went back with a friend, and the guide was kind of rushing us through. He wasn't really talking about the stuff, and I was telling my friend everything I knew. And my friend turned to the guy and was like, "Hey, why aren't you showing us this?" And he said, "Oh, I didn't think you really cared, but I'll show you something." So he takes us into this other part of the cave that wasn't on the original tour. Okay. It's this huge, massive opening on the top. So you can see sun coming in, there's trees growing out of it, in the middle of all this rocks. He takes his flashlight and he points it up to the top of the cave, which is probably like 2 to 3 stories high. And now the Mayans used to use, all connected, an ancient form of spray paint. They would blow paint through bamboo, and they would blow it around their hands. They would do designs on the walls. There were 2 handprints at the top of this cave. One was clearly, distinctly a human hand. The other was like this three kind of massive fingered handprints.
Mm, yeah.
And he goes, I don't really believe it, but my grandfather told me that's the aliens. That was the aliens the Mayans connected with, they contacted, and they visited and they wanted to put their handprint up there. So alien graffiti.
How cool is that, huh? God, that's great.
It's pretty amazing. I know. I want to go back and fully document it because it was so long ago. I was like a 19-year-old. I didn't, it was before digital phones and everything. So
Right. And the Fibonacci stuff. There's a Fibonacci stairwell at the Vatican, and there's a second one, and the second one is actually at the Pillsbury Club that I've been talking about in Minneapolis. From Scotland, from the castle in Scotland. Folks,
is that
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was saying in Scotland, there's that church that's like got this crazy DNA spiral in there.
Oh, that's right.
These guys have reconstructed the frequency patterns that's in there, that it's embedded in the carvings. I don't know if that's connected, but it might be worth researching.
I love it. I absolutely love it. That's the stuff I like you. I love that stuff so much. Once again, folks, the name of the series and the show is Think Theory Radio on WCPT 820 AM. You can get it everywhere. New episode this Saturday, 6 p.m. Damien Perdue is the host. Damien, thank you so very much. What a great show tonight.
Man, thank you, Greg. It was awesome, man. And I was happy to do a crossover episode.
The crossover episode. Absolutely. Folks, make sure you go check it out. I'll be back tomorrow. We're going to talk about what's creepy inside AM 950 with psychic Jennifer Lee. Everyone have a good night.